So, I don't want to say I'm indifferent, because I'm not indifferent about it. I'm just kind of like, I want to see how it plays out. It's like I'm watching a soap opera, and I want to see what the next line in the part of the plot is, as it develops.
And I'm also
so it got my attention.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I also like to know as well, coming into this weekend, 22 points above the cutoff. How are you looking at Richmond this weekend, and what does the track really mean to you in general?
Yeah, I'm super pumped about it. We've ran a handful of short track races this year. And I don't know if we count the 1 mile tracks as a short track. It seems like one year we might, next year we don't. I don't know how that all works, but we've really kicked some butt at those tracks. And our expectations going into Richmond are very high. Expect to lead a lot of laps, be up front, and potentially bring home our 4th win of the year. So I'm very, very pumped and optimistic about it. I think the team told me we're bringing my Loudon car, same paint scheme and everything. And that car was just flying in New Hampshire. And so we're very, very hopeful for a big, strong showing at Richmond.
I appreciate your time, Brad. Good luck to you this weekend.
No problem, Marty.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Kelly Crandall. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thank you. Hey, Brad. Coming into the year, the team swaps between all 3 of you Penske drivers, you ended up with what was Ryan's team, Jeremy Bolins, and that whole crew. I'm just curious, coming into the year, did you have maybe expectations of what this team could do, just seeing what they had done with Ryan? Those guys that always kind of seem, a step behind the 2 and the 22. Have they exceeded your expectations? Kind of how has this year gone with this new team in terms of what you've seen from them and maybe what you expected working with them?
It's been a good year, Kelly. We're right where I don't want to say we're right where we want to be. Where we want to be is, where Harvick and Hamlin and all those other guys are. Sorry, I'm trying to prop my phone here. I want to have 7 or 8 wins. That's where I want to be. But we're in good shape. We've got 3 wins. We're, a lot of bonus points, a lot to be proud of. I don't know if I really came in with any expectations. In fact, probably the opposite. I didn't want to have expectations. Just wanted to do the best we can and see how it plays out.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you. Brad, Chase Elliott was on here earlier, and he noted in reference to especially the Auto Club Speedway news, just the different mindset or the different approach of how the NASCAR leadership. And obviously, a lot of changes have happened this year, as much probably out of necessity as anything. But I'm curious from your point of view, since you've got a wider breadth of knowledge and experience with NASCAR, how different are these times? How different are they approaching things? And is there I don't know if there can be too much of something like that, or I know you noted that you're anxious to see the next line in the play. It just seems like this is an interesting time for the sport and making some interesting decisions.
Yeah, it's very provocative, and I mean that in a good way. I think we're really starting to see Jim France and his leadership style kind of, I don't want to say get comfortable, but kind of find their path and direction. And it's been a little bit of a breath of fresh air in some ways. I would say that the move at Auto Club Speedway has, a good feel to it, in the sense that it feels like this is something coming right from the top. Feels like there's been a fair amount of thought put into it, at least from my perspective. And I think we've seen a couple different examples of that with things that just kind of feel like they're Jim, and he's got his own style, and I don't think it's bad. And I'm not sure I would say that where we were before was bad. I thought there was room for improvement. But I feel like I'm in the middle of a book, and I'm just reading chapters, and it's almost like there's a different writer now with these chapters, and Jim's writing them, and they're pretty interesting. They're compelling. It's hard to view them as a whole because naturally none of us know everything that's going on behind the scenes. But in the moment, there's more I agree with than I disagree with, and that's probably a good thing.
Is there anything else in particular other than Auto Club that you feel like has, in kind of the way you're saying it, in Jim's kind of hands or Jim's kind of point on some of that you've seen lately?
Well, just the fact that we were able to get to the track and race over these last few months, when not every sport, but most other sports are kind of dancing, I think has the feel of him with just a down-to-earth, we're going to figure this out and we're going to make things happen. And when I think of Jim France, I think of someone just like that. I think of someone who leads in that way of, hey, we're going to get to the racetrack and we're not going to throw in the towel. There were plenty of instances where that could have happened throughout the year and the pandemic and, you know, the thing that happened at Talladega, but he didn't. He said he has real good pace, persistence, that in some ways almost turns into a healthy tenacity. And I appreciate that about him. And to the point that I think you're alluding to Chase making, and I don't know his full quote, so I don't want to take it out of context, but I can definitely feel his leadership.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, we're going to take our next question with Claire B. Lane. Go ahead, Claire.
Thank you, as Brad leaves the room.
Oh, you're okay. Hey,
Nice
sir,
to
I
see you,
can't.
Brad.
These Zoom calls, I got some Clint Boyer in me. I got to keep moving here.
Moving around. I like that. How do you define your relationship with Richmond from when you started to where you think you are now in this playoff race?
I'm not sure I completely understand that, Claire. Can you back me up? How do I
Sure.
define
Sure.
when I start my career, or I'm not
Yeah,
sure
when you first started, how hard it was, or you know how it's developed, and now look at you, you're racing this race now. I'm sure your mindset as a veteran has changed about Richmond. Do you remember racing there for the first time and how you've grown at this track and what your thoughts are now?
Yeah. Oh, no, I definitely have a better feel for the track than I did my first year and better feel for what I need out of the car. I made significant changes to my driving style. No, it's a reps track if there is one. Martinsville and Richmond very much are about reps.
All right, so what do you expect in the race? I mean, I know you can't predict it, but you know, Darlington, everybody was aggressive, but it wasn't crazy like we thought. Even more on the line as each race ratchets up in the playoffs. What do you expect in general at Richmond?
I think I'm looking at the end of that race and curious if it's going to have the long greens or the short run. I'm anticipating it's going to have some long green runs, but I'm not sure. I'm looking to Bristol to be more chaotic just because of the placement in the playoffs more than anything else.
Mm-hmm. So Richmond will be Richmond as we normally see it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more about where the race falls than the actual racetrack and how that elevates the risks and chances people are willing to take.
Good luck in the race. Thanks a lot, man. Good to see you.
problem. Likewise.
Bye.
All right, we are going to take our next question from Jordan Bianchi. Go ahead, Jordan.
Brad, appreciate your time. When you look at an ideal Cup Series schedule, is there a certain number of short tracks you'd like to see, number of intermediate tracks, road courses? What's that balance in your mind that you would like to have?
Like in a percentage sense?
Yeah,
maybe?
I mean, like, well, we're gonna have 7 short tracks on the schedule starting in 2022, 2023. Do you want to see more? Do you want to see less? Do you want to see less intermediate tracks and just more road courses? That kind of thing.
There's 4 distinct genres of tracks, right? Excuse me. There's the short track genre she brought up. There's the super speedway genre. There's of course road courses, and then there's your traditional mile and a half, 2 mile track. What do you want to call it? Mile and a quarter to 2 mile track. You know, I think I'd like to see short tracks represent at least 30 to 40% of the schedule. You know, I think mile and a halfs have their place somewhere around that 25% mark. You know, road courses, you know, maybe a little less, 10, 15%. And then you got your super speedways that kind of finish out the percentage pie. But I think it's fair to say that short tracks to me should be about 40% of the schedule of NASCAR.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Lee Spencer. Go ahead, Lee.
Thank you. Good morning or good afternoon, Champ. Hope you're doing well.
Great, Lee. How are you?
I'm super. Thanks, man. Travis Geisler was on a call the other day, and he said that, you know, some tracks, Team Penske's just missing at it. You know, there are some tracks that are better than others, and I'm just curious whether you feel that way, or you feel like you can contend wherever you go, that maybe, you know, JGR or Team Hendrick or whoever, Stuart Haas, I think there's probably just one car there, but you know, or a little bit better than you guys. But, you know, can you go into these tracks thinking that they are superior and can beat you?
I think that the strengths of Team Penske right now are the restrictor plate tracks, Lee, and the short tracks. Road courses are pretty weak right now. You know, I think we're 10th to 15th as a company with what we have. I think the mile and a halfs we're 5th to 10th, but we're in the top 5 for the others. So, you know, it's really hard. As much as Harvick's made it look so easy, it's really hard to have great cars on all the tracks. I don't know if there's a team out there that has great cars on all the tracks. If I'm just kind of throwing it out there. We would like to be good at 3 out of the 4 rather than 2 out of the 4. And the mile and a halfs are probably the most important for us to improve on for the intermediate type tracks. But I would agree with that Travis is being realistic with what he said.
And that being said, as excited as you sound going into Richmond, and you know, talk about having a kick-ass car from Loudon, how's that going to translate to Phoenix? Because you know, when I think about mile-ish, flatter tracks, that seems to be in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I feel really good about Phoenix. We ran so great there in the spring. We got wrecked and rebounded to win a stage and lead a lot of laps, and kind of got shuffled with the way the yellows fell at the end to what was going to be a win into an 11th, which was a real bummer. But I feel pretty good about going back to Phoenix in the fall. We just got to get there. You know, we got to get through the rounds. We got to get through these mile and a halves. We got to get through the Roval and all that kind of stuff. And that's not going to be easy.
Appreciate your time, and thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Champ.
You got it, Lee.
Yes, Brad, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. And you are officially off the hook.
Bye, guys. Have fun.